can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks, I'm Matt.
And I'm Wes.
Hey, welcome back.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you, man. I would have had you a long time ago if I'd known Bruce was going to be MIA for so long, but he's still dealing with issues with his house and everything, which he says are getting under wraps. So he'll be later in to record some more later on this week. But
grown-up problems.
Grown-up
Who needs
problems. Who does need them?
F that.
You've been on a little trip.
I did. I went on a
spoke.
little sabbatical.
So I think we've talked about this before. We've talked about wrestling. I know we have.
We have. You and I have.
On the podcast.
Yes, one of your previous episodes of one of your mini podcasts.
Yeah, we talked about it and our love for it. In fact, I want to say you were part of that got me in on it on the 90s. Because we had it playing at Cards, Coins, Collectibles at the store we used to work at the mall.
If I could be your gateway into anything else more ridiculous than the things you already enjoy, I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching it with you, though. We'd watch Saturday Night Wrestling, WCW, or whatever, which is, if you can enjoy that, you can enjoy anything. You know, that was them scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
That is letting the low side drag.
When Scott and Steve Anderson are your they're your main event. You know, the Anderson brothers. You know, tag team event, or was it Fit Finley?
Oh yeah,
was also a main event.
I'm sure somebody had a pretty sweet Kentucky waterfall if they were on WCW Saturday Night in 1998.
That was the home of Norman Smiley and the Big Wiggle. I recall that one too.
I've been looking for the Big Wiggle since then.
But I watched that, and you say, well, you should shoot, Cuckoo. If you like this, you'll like Nitro and Raw, and all these are much better. So I started watching those, and that was part of it. I think it was kind of a big wave that was sweeping everyone. Remember we used to sell wrestling T-shirts?
I do. I remember selling wrestling T-shirts. Our store went through a little bit of a lull, like anybody that's followed the hobby in the late 90s. And our incredibly genius owner was on top of the Beanie Baby
craze.
Right when the roller coaster was just about to peak.
He knew right before it got crazy.
We got it, and I said, hey, I think we need to carry wrestling T-shirts, because there was another small sporting goods store that carried them in our mall. And I said, well, if it's good for them, it's good for us. And so we loaded up on black Austin 316 T-shirts and Beanie Babies.
Wolfpack.
And we blew that shit out.
Yep, we did. I remember, though, we were not keen on the Beanie Babies coming into the store, though. We all complained about those.
We were very apprehensive.
It wasn't a booming, it was a rising collectible at the time. It wasn't at that point where the Beanie Baby craze had hit completely, but soon after that, it hit. If I was a conspiracy theorist, Wayne was the reason the boom came, because remember when he said dump it, we're like, no, this is the hottest thing. Nope, it's about to go cold. We're like, really? Yeah, and he dumped just at the right time.
Yeah, we had a long giant, like these big card tables, picnic tables full of back issues of comics.
Yep.
And we had like a little wooden divider around them.
Yeah.
So as the Beanie Baby craze took over our store, slowly the comics were tightened to capacity.
So we could have a bin of Beanie Babies.
It looked like a size 14 and a size 10. I mean, it was exploding with back issues tucked into long boxes and Beanie Babies out of our little wooden fortress.
Yep. As much as we could. Some in the glass cases.
They
replaced the
big money ones.
They replaced the hockey section.
We condensed everything down.
Condensed. Baseball got condensed because it took over some of the glass sections.
So much for Chipper Jones and King Griffey Jr.
I'm telling you, when you've got a Beanie Baby worth $300,
someone's
actually going to pay for it.
We need Britannica the bear down there.
We need more Princess Di Bears, please.
Yeah, baby.
We can't get enough of those. So it was an impressive feat that he knew exactly right before the craze happened. And then he even knew that the McDonald's Beanie Babies were going to be big. You know, when they were giving them away, people didn't think that much. He goes, you know, he was going to pay for everyone's lunch as long as they got a Happy Meal at McDonald's, and all you had to give them was the Beanie Baby. We're like, yeah, sure, why not? And now some of those are worth like still today.
He would only pay for the hamburger meal. He would not pay for the cheeseburger or the chicken McNugget. So if you wanted more for your money, you had to put up the 40 cents.
You had to put the 40 cents, but not bad though for broke college kids.
You take what
like,
you
can
can
I
get.
have 2 Happy Meals? Yep,
We'll do what we can.
As those Beanie Babies keep coming in, and then he sold those for $5, making his money back from the Happy Meal and then some. So even those were.
Whenever our former boss dies, there is a song in the movie Office Space when they're busting up the printer, and it says, "Damn, it feels good to be a gangsta."
That's what you play.
That is our former owner's name.
Yeah.
He was a leader to us, and he was an OG, son.
He was in more ways than one.
For sure. His birth certificate said it, and his methods of mayhem said it.
And doesn't he have a brother who's a doctor?
He's got a brother that's a dentist.
That's
or
what
orthodontist, excuse me.
But the thing is, though,
he's got another brother, too.
There was one time Wayne was making more money than his orthodontist brother. And he still may be. based on some the guy
he knew how to diversify.
He definitely diversified.
He was a smart guy.
Yeah.
He was not going to get caught behind the 8 ball.
No.
He was out of there.
Cards, coins, collectibles, and blank,
etc.
The money that goes under the register.
It's a cash business. We're all 1099s.
I mean, we talked about this before, but I still can't get over that we had to count up the IOUs at the end of the day. Can you believe that? There's no store on the planet Earth that counts their IOUs before they close out the register. Because you could borrow any money, just write on a piece of paper, I owe you $20 in your name, and then he'd dock it from your check.
Yeah, it was different. It was it was so unique that unfortunately the 117 people that are going to listen to this, maybe 3 will get it. But for the 3 that do,
but I'm just talking about old school,
old school
It's
old school business.
It's old school business.
Insulated.
But even then, back in the late 90s, how many businesses were still doing that?
No
that may
one.
Have been one of the last ones.
We were privately owned,
privately owned and everything.
You know, we saw the horse's head we saw every day. It was not just seeing the horse's tail. We saw the horse's head every day.
I'm telling you. And
he had a gold Rolex on.
I'm proud I worked there. I'm proud I got to live the dream to work in a carton comic shop, because that's not many people can say that and be happy about it.
No, yeah. Everybody is scraping the bottom of their old memories, talking about those days, and I don't feel like those are that way for us.
No, they're not. But I mean, the thing is, though, that people today, if they want to open up their own comic book, like we have a comic book guy here in town.
Sure.
He's not doing it to make money.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah, now it is, but we made money.
It was
back then.
We'll talk in depth. It's a teaser for I went to a card shop in Houston that had very much the old feels of our job.
Please go ahead then. This is a great segue. Okay, so you went on a trip. Tell people where you went and why you went first.
Okay, so I went to Houston, Texas, the 4th largest state or city in the continental U.S., and I went with a good friend of ours who's a former, also, he took your spot at our glorious job, Brandon. And I went with him and his daughter.
He's heavyweight champion of the world, isn't he?
Not that. That's different Brandon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
This is the air conditioning Brandon. Change your filters, guys. It's important. So
just the heavy champion of the world.
Yeah, I went with him and his daughter to see wrestling. She discovered wrestling during the pandemic and was very transfixed on it.
Right on.
So here I am being the creepy uncle. Being able to tell her about the old days. Yeah. And we all went to the first WWE event after the pandemic. After
Awesome.
18 months, we went to see SmackDown in Houston at the Toyota Center.
Nice.
Yeah. So we had a big time. Good time.
I bet they went all out for their first live event.
It was good. It was sold out. So
Of course.
whatever it holds, if it holds 10,000, if it holds 12,000, whatever it was a sold out event.
Of course,
Couldn't
yeah.
get tickets. Luckily, I got tickets off of Craigslist twice because the first person, they hoodwinked me.
Oh.
But I kind of figured it because the deal was. Remember, guys, if it's too good to be true, it is.
It is.
Not true.
Oh.
So, but I did get my money back. Anyway,
Oh, good.
so we went to SmackDown, had a big time, and then on Saturday, my Brandon is big into cards, and his daughter is big into wrestling cards, which is a thing now.
Wow.
So
Wrestling cards.
we found a real comic shop, or excuse me, card shop that was like what we worked in.
Okay.
It was called the Old Ballpark, and it's on 600 East South Street in Alvin, Texas. So if you want to look that up, we went. I got a guy's business card. It was so good. It smelled like our shop.
Oh, man.
It brought a tear to my eye. I felt like Ric Flair saying, with a tear in my eye. It was so good. And the guy that ran it was so cool. And he had a couple people sitting in there with him. And then there was another woman came in with her son. And this other guy gave this kid a box of cards. And then Brandon gave him some inserts from the boxes he was opening. And it was just this real big love affair over
I like that. So a bunch of cards to sort through? I mean, just shift through and
no,
pick
like
out who
open packs, like
Oh.
full sealed pack box. I said, "Hey, man, this kid was new into the hobby," and it was just that real good feeling that just makes you go, "Man, this is why we talk about this 25 years later."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, amongst the other reasons we talk about
I'm
it.
glad that stores like that still exist.
He said he was the Lone Ranger.
I bet he is.
It was a really cool shop. It drove up. It looks like a country club in Texas. It's like this building that, and man, it was so nice. The smell.
Alone. The old cardboard smell, huh?
It was intoxicating. It was so good. So
This is your
good.
next vacation. You said, y'all have a bed and breakfast here?
I pulled up a chair and just talked to him about when he opened the shop and, the trials and tribulations of running something like this and the love affair you've got to have with this hobby, because this is not something that you're going to, the bloom is off the rose. Everybody knows if you're going to collect this stuff, you need to collect because of what it
What
means
you care about,
to
not
you.
for, it's not going to be anyone's
Not some
retirement
type
now.
of tax return that you're going
Yeah.
to file. But it was so good. He was such a cool guy. He opened his shop in 1995. So it was
Okay, during the
26
prime
years after it was in July. So we were right in that middle part of when he opened that shop, and we talked about the change during the pandemic and how prices have just completely skyrocketed, and how eventually that balloon is going to pop,
Exactly.
and how many stores it's going to bring down and how many people it's going to bring down with it. Kind of like we went through a few of those during our career,
Yeah.
but it was so good. It was just, I can't tell you how good of a time we had.
That's awesome.
It was so good.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
that's
it was
great.
awesome.
And that you had his daughter, an avid collector, excited about that. That just makes you excited.
Yeah, for sure. Like I have chose not to procreate. I don't know if I've chosen so much as my partners have also chosen, but I've chosen not to procreate in the world. But I'm glad that I've been able to pass on somewhat of I've learned, as Yoda would say,
Yeah.
as far as trading cards and collecting and love affairs of silly things and days
Right.
gone by. So yeah, it was a good time, man. It was I could not have as much fun as we had going to like a live event, which God knows everybody needs to get out and do something.
Oh, yeah.
going and doing that with a good buddy of mine couldn't have been better.
Well, it's a feeling of normal, getting back to normal and everything, and just everything back together.
It was so
and I bet that crowd was really into it that night then, huh?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they were into everything. The crowd at that show was Toyota Center was definitely ready to feel like they used to feel.
That's awesome.
Which is what obviously everyone's chasing.
And you know what? I think the wrestlers enjoyed that just as much, if not more, because I bet they've missed.
Oh yeah,
those empty crowds or half open, seating has not been pleasant.
Well,
just hearing that big.
You have a
as a performer, you want to hear your performance is only as good as the crowd.
You don't want to play in front of empty seats.
No, or weird TVs, which I thought was fun, but at the same time, that
novelty wears off really quick.
Yep. It's only there for a few weeks, and you're like, they're still doing this now. It's kind of boring.
Sure.
And they pump in audience music like they did that for the baseball games. They pumped in audience.
They did it for SmackDown. There were many times when that arena of 10,000 people was pretty quiet.
Yeah, and that doesn't. It kind of takes away your performance. I go back to back in its height. You had The Rock and I want to say it was Mankind in an empty stadium match. Remember this that lasted for an hour? And you're thinking,
well, it wasn't an hour. It was during the halftime.
Okay, so half an hour, 20, 30 minutes.
It was during the halftime of the Super Bowl. Yeah.
And so you could watch it and you're thinking, oh, right, two of your favorites are smacking down. And you're like, ugh.
It doesn't resonate.
Because there's no crowd. There's no one reacting. It's just them making some grunts and some noise and you're going,
it's different.
It takes it away from it because the audience isn't there.
It feels unnatural.
Whereas if they were doing the same moves with an audience, we'd have been into it more.
Sure, of course.
And I was almost positive because I at first thought, why is this a terrible fight? No, it's not that it's terrible. It's just that there's no audience impact. There's no one to get you excited about. It's
like a dry run.
Yeah,
what you would call that.
So I bet the wrestlers, did they do anything special after the?
They did a little bit. One of the guys got on the mic and kind of thanked the crowd and said all that good stuff. But it was good. It was a good time overall.
Good. Any best match of the night?
Well, I mean, I would say they started hot. They started with the main event, I would say, more or less, as far as the first match.
All right.
And I think that they did that because they wanted the crowd as hot as they could get it at the beginning.
Oh yeah, and then fan that flame and keep going instead of just
they would rather it burn out rather than try to catch it later on.
No, I understand that. That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Get them pumped up at the very beginning, and now they're just ready to roar with anything.
Sure. Yeah.
In fact, if it was me, I just made that like a mini pay-per-view, just to kind of get that crowd really into it. Thank them for getting a live audience back.
Yeah, it was very nice. It was very good. I was very grateful to get out in the continental U.S. again.
I'm telling you. Do you have a favorite wrestler these days?
I do, but it's not in the WWE.
Oh, is it in one of their little farms?
It's in a different federation.
NXT?
It's called AEW, All Elite Wrestling.
Oh, well, I didn't know you were doing the AEW. Who's in the AEW?
Her name is Britt Baker.
Excuse me.
And her manager is Rebel. And they are...
Great, huh?
Thought-provoking.
I see. Okay. So when Triple H says they have the best women wrestling in the WWE, he didn't mean best looking.
Well, I mean, I love Charlotte Flair and I love Rhea Ripley, but Britt Baker and Rebel.
That's where it's at? That's where the money's at?
If I had to put my money down, that's where I'm going to put it.
Okay.
And if I'm going to put my honey down, I'm going to put it there too.
Well, I'm getting shades of Heath Linda Carter right now.
Right,
so.
the table move. Mic check.
Now, why wasn't Heath on this trip? Why wasn't the Three Amigos?
Heath chooses to do things differently.
Oh, okay. So this is his decision.
This was definitely his decision.
Oh, okay.
This was mine and Brandon and his daughter's little adventure.
That's
know,
fine. That's fine.
Heath, is a product of a similar organization as you, and he tends to pick his spots differently.
He picks his battles, huh?
Yeah.
That's understandable. That's understandable. And that's awesome that Brandon got to have time with his daughter and do those types of things.
Sure.
Because that weekend, right? How old is she?
She's 10.
That weekend's going to be with her forever.
Yeah, and that's
She's
what I
always
hope
going to
so.
remember that. No, it is, because that's a big moment. You're back from the pandemic. You're with a bunch of people. You get to see a great wrestling show. She's a big wrestling fan.
Sure.
She gets to go dig wrestling cards. I mean, that's just a great day for anyone. But to be back, because it's hit kids just as bad. Can't go into school. Got to do this. Got to do that. Got a cigarette. Man, kids, it's even worse. That's their whole life is social.
Yeah, awful.
So for her, I bet that was a big one too. So that's nice of Brandon. Look at that.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, he came through. He was like
through.
He was like
there.
Christmas, very much.
I'm telling you what, that would have been because a lot of kids have gone.
I
through
even
that.
told him, I said, you can be super dad, but you've been super friend also.
That's nice.
Yeah, but we did not bang hands, and I turned into water, and he turned into a pterodactyl. It was not that kind of super friends.
What else did you do? Did you go eat any place in Houston?
We went to one of the aquariums on Saturday.
Whoa, okay.
Before we went to the
now you got Megan
the
gonna
old
be jealous.
ballpark.
There's nothing she loves more than aquariums.
Yeah, we went to one of the aquariums and had some outdoor activities where it was a lot of sweating and waiting in lines, which if you don't have kids like myself, is quite exhilarating to your spirit. Needless to say.
Yes.
But we had a good time. We saw some white tigers.
Right on.
We saw some sharks. We were on this train.
In the aquarium? There's white tigers?
Well, yeah, different part of the aquarium. There's
sorry.
two different stages of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we
that's
went
cool.
and saw that. They
I
had
was going to
this
say, were they feeding?
gigantic boa constrictor that was really freaky and scary.
That's awesome.
It kind of looked like Jake's old snake that he carried in the ring.
There he go.
In the bag.
Put him
Damien.
It
was freaky. Pretty weird.
Nice. And then where else? You say after the aquarium? What else was there?
We went to we went and ate at some no name place, but then that's when we went to this it's called the Old Ballpark in Alvin, Texas, and that's where we opened up packs and had this real spiritual experience with walking down memory lane. Nostalgia, it's an intoxicating drug.
It definitely is. One of my best memories was in 1986 for Christmas. My dad decided that me and my brother were just going to get a box of baseball cards, and this was our first year. I think 85. My dad had bought us like some baseball cards, and it was a pack of all the All-Stars from 85, and so we were just going through them because every card was Dad was telling us about how everyone was an All-Star and everyone was a great card. So it's like you got the best pack in the world. Of course,
Sure.
Never mind that your brother got the same exact cards as you. You're just like, wow, this is great. Well, then my dad was really excited because he was into the hobby too at the time. He said, well, I'm just going to buy him a box of 86 Tops. Man, that was 36 individually wrapped presents. Are you kidding me? It was great. It was fantastic. And then stacked. That was back when they had the bubble
36 pieces of gum.
36 pieces of gum, regardless of what it tastes like. You can say all day, but I loved it. I loved the gum. It came with each pack, and you were just excited.
The gum shattered in your mouth. Like when you broke it would burst.
It would kind of,
with chalky
It was
goodness.
chalky goodness, and you thought, you had to put a few in there, and after a while, it was probably rubber. I don't know.
It was kind of shardy.
Yeah, you didn't keep it for long.
Yeah.
But that you had bubble gum, it was a big deal. That you had these cards, and then back then, one box could get you pretty close to a set. They put a lot of
Sure.
You get some repeats in there, but not in the same pack or something.
Yeah.
So we were building sets, trading. Then of course you traded cards with your
of course.
friends, your school kids, and stuff like that. You trade cards to get your set. Go to different stores, and they'd have a box of commons that you could shift through and find the numbers that you were missing. There's very few places like that these days.
No, because there's no money to be made in that.
There is no money to be made in that, and that's sad. It's sad, but it's also sad because have we talked about this? About the monopoly that Topps has, and I don't think that's good for the business. I don't think that's good for the hobby.
I think the hobby is totally different than what you and I encountered.
I mean, obviously
there's
it is, but-
boxes of cards that are
What-
thousands of dollars.
Well, no, that's
right off the bat.
Yeah, and because they got the little, because now they've roped themselves into this, that special card, that promo, that foil, that piece of the game. You know, there's one autograph card in every box,
Sure.
one jersey card in every box, and they sold themselves on just that, to where they had to keep raising the prices because of the expensive.
It's a gamble. It
getting
is a
jerseys, getting
real
autographed cards, an autographed card in every box or every six
Sure,
packs.
yeah.
Okay, well now we have to rise the price to pay for these packs. But the regular cards, the common cards, they're even more worthless than before.
Yeah.
And someone trying to collect a set will never do it because they can't buy a box. In fact, someone like me, how about you give me the one that doesn't come with the special, Uber card in there or the piece of the game card? I don't want that. I just want to get a set. I want to look at a pack of cards. But they've kind of...
We don't serve your droids here.
That's exactly right. And that's the
They'll
thing.
have to wait outside.
And Topps has terrible customer service. I was years back, after a few years after me and Megan got married, I decided to get back into the hobby a little bit, get back into baseball cards, because I still watch baseball. I just didn't want to do baseball cards. I said, well,
How about the Mets?
well, don't jinx it now. I mean, we played good yesterday. Did you see that game? Holy cow. 6-0. Then we come back 7-6. I wish every day was like, well, I don't wish every day was like that. I wish every day we just blew everyone out of the water, but gave me a heart attack for a while. But yeah, so we're leading right now. It's something that you kind of don't want to talk about as a Mets fan because you're just waiting for the whole thing to fall apart.
Well, that NL East is pretty weak.
The whole division's pretty weak. We get our clock clean by
It's
anyone
more of a
else.
contest of who's going to finish last than who's going to finish first.
But you know what? In the playoffs, anyone can get a hot streak. Anyone can get a hot streak. The Giants did it several times in the past, but grabbing on that wild card, and then suddenly they can't lose all of a sudden,
Riding momentum, oh yeah, right to the pay, Somebody's gonna lose, but somebody's gonna be the champion, yeah.
Exactly. But
A lot of losers, only one champion, yeah.
and no one can see this, but he's doing the hand movements too.
Dig
Watch
it.
him, man. Just want you to tell me to slap it to a Slim Jim or something. But no, I just think that it's sad that they have a monopoly over it, and there can't be because if they gave it out to some other place who just did it better, we used to have different designs. You have Donruss, Fleer, and Topps. I mean, yeah, then they all had their
Offshoots.
the middle offshoots, but then they had their kind of premium Fleer Ultra, Donruss Elite, or whatever they were called.
Sure.
Top Stadium, their second tier, and they kept moving up. But that was fine too, because you got different designs, different cards. A lot of designs Topps comes out with, I don't really like anymore. And they've come up with some nice ones too, but at the same time, I'm not interested.
You, my friend, are not the target demographic.
No, I'm not.
anymore.
I'm not. I understand that.
That's how it goes.
Except for this year, and I have a card somewhere over here, but what's it called? Not vintage. It's called Heritage. Topps Heritage. They'll bring back a design from one of the past
Sure.
years. Well, my very first year was 1986, so I have an affinity toward the 86 Topps, which this year is the card that they're remaking some of the older, like there's a Nolan Ryan 86 Topps, but not with Houston. He's with the Rangers now. There's a Mike Piazza, which someone gave me, 86 Mets, and I was like, oh, that's like the dream right there. So it's like they're getting the better players than putting them in that 86.
Well, the
top
86 Mets won the World Series too.
That's another big reason that I really enjoyed. That was
Okay.
just the perfect, the moons aligned. My first big year of collecting baseball cards, and the Mets won. I don't know if you did this when you were a kid, but watching the baseball game, I'd bring up my baseball cards, put the players in their positions.
I'm not that nerdy.
And okay, that's what I would do. And then have the deck. And then sometimes a player would get traded and I didn't have him in my deck, and I'd have to get him from another, but he'd have the White Sox jersey.
I'll tell you how
on.
nerdy I was. I would get the box scores from the previous game and then go into like Nintendo or Sega games and plug those players in and replay the game from the day before.
Whoa!
That's pretty socially inept.
So you were streaming MLB games digitally.
I would
before-
replay the game the day after.
Wow. I know that one nerdy thing we did back when it was NCAA football, back when you could do computer versus computer. And we were playing the game, but I said, "Hey, let's do computer versus computer while we eat." You know, just to watch so we put ULM and Tech, the rivalry, in the snow. You know, because it would never snow.
Sure, of course.
So go ahead and put it in the snow. Well, we're sitting there talking, watching the game, watching this video game, two computers play, and then we ended up finishing our food well before the first half. But the game was so good, I watched the rest of it, and ULM won, which tells you the computer got it wrong. I was happy.
I don't
It was
even
a
know
great
what
game.
to say to this.
I know, but that's a pretty pathetic moment too. We got pathetic moments here.
You definitely carried the term pathetic into a correct spot for sure.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'm done. Anything else you want to talk about
For my trip,
from your trip?
yeah. Anybody out there that's going to take a trip with someone, always confer with them if they have a snoring issue or a sleep apnea issue. And if they
Wow.
do, they really need to bring their Darth Vader helmet, because it sounds like a pterodactyl being attacked all night long beside you.
Okay. Subtle hint there. Subtle hint.
Yeah.
So the sleep could have been better, is what you're saying.
Luckily, we had a big enough room where we had a sliding door and I could go pull out the sleep couch sofa, because I could not sleep in the same room. It was brizoodle.
It could have been worse.
I don't think it could have.
The
It
AC
was-
could have broke with the other
well,
other Brandon.
luckily, he did tell me that it was hotter on his side of the room than the other. It's like, well, tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk's still good, because it was brizoodle for me. It was Jurassic Park until I shut that door. Water was shaking in the glass. It was brutal. Awful. God bless his little girl, because she slept through
She's
it.
athletic.
Yeah, it was like the Wizard of Oz. You couldn't shake her.
Poppies will make them sleep. Poppies.
Man.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for telling me about your Houston trip.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Hey, folks. We'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.